Well, hey there, Aletheia Church. I hope that you're doing well and praying that you guys are having a good time in gospel community. I just want to give you a recap from my sermon or possibly my sermon that Pastor Daniel preached this past Sunday. We're not entirely sure what exactly is going to happen yet, but I wanted to go ahead and get this video recorded. Just recapping what we talk about and what we see in Ruth chapter 3. And what we said in many ways is that Ruth chapter 3 was going to be an example for us to see a lot about marriage and relationships and kind of the key things we see in Ruth's relationship with Boaz and what God is doing there. And we kind of said that there were two main points. The first one was that we could see that a good marriage is defined as rest. And the second thing we said that a good marriage is founded on godly character. And we finished off by talking about how Jesus is our ultimate example of that. And so in those first 5 verses of Ruth chapter 3, what we see is that Naomi comes up with a plan for Ruth. And what she says is that it's good for her to find rest for Ruth. And I don't want to spend a ton of time talking about this just like I did in my sermon, but it is important to see the shift that Naomi is making by the time we get to Ruth chapter 3. The faith of Ruth and the faithfulness of Ruth and Boaz both is starting to lead Naomi towards a heart change and towards hope in God. And so as this exchange is happening, as this change in Naomi's heart is happening, she sees that Boaz is what's called a kinsman redeemer, and we'll talk more about that next week for her family, and should redeem Ruth. And so she tells Ruth, go to Boaz, go to the threshing floor, uncover his feet, and wait there until he responds. Now, what we talked about as we were talking about all of this idea of rest, is that word rest in the Hebrew is this Hebrew word that means quiet, a settled spot, or like maybe figuratively to find a home. It's the same word we see in Genesis chapter 9 for the dove that leaves the ark and cannot find a place to rest, so it returns to the ark back to Noah. And so we talked about how marriage is hard and doesn't always seem restful, but that a gospel-centered marriage provides rest, and that it provides a place for us to be fully known yet fully loved. It provides a place for us to work together with our spouse and growing in Christ-likeness, with failures included. And it provides an environment that cultivates community and cooperation to serve the world together. And as Naomi seeks that rest for Ruth, we see that one of the distinguishing characteristics that's going to attract Boaz to Ruth, and really in many ways Ruth to Boaz, is the idea that far more important than their attraction to one another or whatever else may be is that character matters. And we see that Ruth's character is filled with integrity, responsibility, humility. And those are just a few of her characteristics. Boaz even calls her a worthy woman in verses 10 and 11. And that Boaz's character is honorable, that he is a protector, that he clearly loves God, and that he clearly loves others. And this is a common distinguishing mark in this beautiful story of redemption, is that God is sovereignly working in the background of Ruth's life and Boaz's life to bring them together, but that their character is in line with the heart of God. Ultimately, right, how we finish talking about all this, though, is that there's a tendency for us to view marriage, even if we have a proper view as marriage is a good thing and that marriage is rest, to view marriage as the end goal. But it's not. The true rest only comes in Jesus. We looked at Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 through 30, where Jesus says to come to him because his yoke is easy and his burden is light. That we come to him because he is better than any spouse or partner could be for us. And that we can learn to rest in Jesus by trusting in him, confessing and repenting of our sin, and moving forward in worship of him. Church family, I love you guys so much. I'm praying for you guys. Have a great week. Go and be the church.